Welcome everyone to my channel Bio World once again. So today I've come with the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, that is under genetics. Now, what is genetics? That's an important and interesting, uh, you can say, part of biology, and it is also a science that studies about heredity. Now, what is heredity? So, genetics, it studies about heredity, study of heredity. And what is heredity? Now, whenever a child is born in a family, we compare the feature of a child with the parents respectively, like from starting with the hair, complexion, then height, then each and everything, the eye color, we compare it that with whom the baby is being matched with more. So heredity means that the character, the trait that is passed from the parents to the offspring, that is called heredity. And this heredity, the study of this heredity, that is science which studies about the heredity, the feature that is passed from the parents to the offspring, and the laws relating to such transmission, is called genetics. So in this particular topic, we are going to study about genetics under the principles of inheritance and variation. Remember that we all are human, but we are not same. We have the features like two eyes, two ears, one mouth, one nose, two legs, but still we can be differentiated. That is because of the variation. And in the chapter of cell division, when crossing over part, that is in meiosis, that when the part of the chromosome that get exchanged, the chromatids get exchanged, that leads to the new character formation, that is called variation. So though we have almost all the features same, but still we do not resemble our parents completely, that we cannot be called as a clone of our parents. There are little bit of variation in each of the sibling or the children, that is offspring. So in this chapter, we are going to study about principle of inheritance and variation, that is genetics, study of heredity or transmission of the character from the parents to the respective offspring. And who is the father of genetics? That's most important thing to learn. Father of genetics. This man who was considered as father of genetics, who was the first to formulate laws, who formulate experimental crosses, and framed that there is something, though in the period of this man there was no concept of gene, but still this man has proved that there is something which get passed from one generation to another. What is the name of that person? Gregor Mendel. So Gregor Mendel is known as father of genetics. He was an Austrian monk. So mainly he studied mathematics and even botany, but he wanted to become a teacher, but the luck do not favor. So he became monk in a church, and there he saw some of the interesting plant in the church garden, and he started experimenting on them. So one of the most important plant which he took for experimental purpose was garden pea. What was the plant? Garden pea. And what was the name of that plant? That is, this is the common name. What was the scientific name? Was, which is very important in terms of your examination, was Pisum sativum. This is the scientific name of the plant garden pea. So you can see there, Pisum sativum. This is the plant. Now why he has has chosen this plant as a experimental plant? Because he saw that there are a number of different character that this plant is having that can undergo number of crosses. And one of the most important feature of this plant was that it is a plant which is hermaphrodite, that it carries both the sex organ in it, like it can undergo self pollination too. So they were feature which was very important for experimental purpose. So garden pea was selected as an experimental purpose by Mendel. And what was the different feature that makes Mendel select this plant? So selection of this plant garden pea due to different reasons. What were they? Many varieties were found. For example, there was different kind of color of the flower, then pod, then stem, then structure, shape, height of the plant. So there were many varieties that could be studied in the cross. Secondly, that it could be self-pollinated as well as cross-pollinated. So self-pollinated, and if you undergo emasculation, then it can undergo cross-pollination also. So this is one of the very important reason why Mendel selected garden pea, and the lifespan was very short. So many generation could be produced easily. That means many of the crosses could be done. Next, varieties were available in pure form. That I would be coming in the crosses when I will show you the cross. What is the pure form? What is the hybrid form? That I would be coming. That was produced generation after the generation. So these were the character. These were the reason why garden pea was selected by Mendel, and he formulated some of the cross. On the basis of that cross, he has given 3 of the most important laws of inheritance, that was law of segregation and law of independent assortment. So there was something which was passed from the parents to the children or the offspring, but still the gene concept was not clear till that time. That means Mendel was not knowing what he is doing. So he was just doing the experimental crosses, and he said there is something which is passed from the generation after the generation. Then what was that thing which has been passed? He named as the word factor. So Mendelian period gene concept was not known. So what was the thing that Mendel has termed that factor? There is something which is passed from the parents to the children, but later factor was then turned into gene. So gene is the unit of heredity. Gene is the segment of DNA. Gene is the part of the chromosome that is transmitted from the parents to the offspring. So starting with the Mendel's first experiment was monohybrid experiment. Now please try to understand monohybrid cross. He was crossing 2 plants, so cross. Mono means single, hybrid 2 character means 1 pair of single, like single pair of contrasting character. Mono means single. So what he took in first cross height of the pea plant. Height of the pea plant. in one of the height he took. So you know that there is alternative forms of the gene, that is there is always the chromosome, they remains in the pair form. So there is duplicate, like one character resembles two chromosome. For example, height, so there would be two alleles of the height, that is one would be tall and one would be dwarf. So tall would be represented by capital T, and dwarf small t, small t. So in this way, Mendel started his first cross, taking the character of height, having two different alleles of the chromosome, that is tall was represented by capital T, and dwarf was represented by small t, and then he crossed them. Now they are here they are two different plants, so no self pollinated would be done here, so they were crossed, that means they were cross pollinated. So what happened in this cross? This resembles the sign of cross. This is parental chromosome, so we can write P1. So if this cross is done, either you have to make a Punnett square or you can do directly. I'll make Punnett square also. So this T would come with this T. This T would come with this T. So what he found? So let's see in what way we can do this in a Punnett square. So this is the square boxes that represent Punnett square. So in this we are going to see how Mendel has shown the cross between the pure tall. Pure tall means completely tall. Capital T, that means both the chromosomes are pure in nature, and one side you are going to write small t, that is dwarf, and this side represent the parental chromosome, that is paternal, maternal. So what happens? So if T is crossed with T, this T is crossed with this one with this one with this. This was in first generation F1, that is filial 1, first generation offspring. So after crossing them, that is pure tall with the pure dwarf, Mendel found that all of them were tall. Capital T, small t means they were tall. This was also tall. This was also tall. This was also tall. What is the meaning of this? That means if TT is tall and TT will definitely be tall. Why? Because we know that capital T resemble or represent dominating allele. That is dominating character. What is dominant gene? Dominant gene means the gene that is able to express itself and suppresses the other allele or the gene. So whenever there is one dominating gene and another recessive means which get suppressed by the dominant gene. So in this case, if one is capital T and another is small t, definitely the character which is observable, that will be tall, not dwarf, as small t could not express in front of dominating gene. So in first filial generation, Mendel found that all of his offspring that he crossed between pure tall plant and pure dwarf plant was completely tall. And so he was very confused that where my dwarf plant has gone. So in this way, he formulated his first cross and he gave the name of this cross, that is the name of the cross under the law of dominance. Before I go to the law of dominance, you have to understand two of the different things, that what is phenotype and what is genotype. Now what is phenotype? Phenotype means the observable character. That means the character which you can see. Character or feature. the features that gene could not be read, okay, or chromosome could not be seen. So what is observed, that if it is asked that whether your height is tall, or you're a mediocre height person, or you're a small height person, the person will see you and say, that is known as your physical expression. Where a genotype means your genetical constitution, that means your genetical makeup, how your genes look like, that cannot be read externally. So phenotype can be read externally. So Mendel, in his first clause, he found that all were tall. All plants which were produced were tall. So this was phenotypic feature. What was this? This was phenotypic feature or phenotype. And if it be asked what was the genotype of these offspring, so you have to write the genotype was TT, TT, TT and TT. That means this was the genotype. So genotype means the gamete and the phenotype means the observable character. So in this way, Mendel formulated his first law, that is law of dominance, where he said that out of a pair of contrasting character present together, only one is able to express itself while the other remains suppressed. So out of pair of contrasting character, that is height was the contrasting character, only one would be able to express and the other remains suppressed. So monohybrid first cross signifies Mendel first law, that is law of dominance. In my next video, I will be coming with the second cross of Mendel and with the second law of segregation. So hopefully this video would benefit you in your studies. Keep watching, stay tuned, please share and like and subscribe the channel. Thank you.